This is Fast Fizz, shorter episodes on hot topics to listen on the go. Hello and welcome to this Fast Fizz, a shorter version of Fizz Free. Thinking about this one the other night, I'm Jane by the way. Just as I was dozing off and falling asleep, it occurred to me that climbing into bed now as a sober person is right up there on my top few things, in my top 5 favourite things about having cut alcohol out of my life. And it got me thinking, you know, if I had to arrange everything into a list, I'm not going to, not a whole long list anyway, but certainly my top 5 that I could share those with you, because bed has been transformed. Bed, when drinking was very much a place just to crash in. I often wouldn't fully remember climbing into bed. It was the admitting defeat. It was the end of the drinks for the night. And I didn't enjoy going to bed. I would put it off for as long as possible to stay up drinking as long as possible. And invariably did not have a great relationship with bed. And it won't surprise you to learn not a great relationship with sleep either suffering insomnia or waking with anxiety, or just purely blacking out and not having those restful cycles of restorative sleep. So, you know, bed is in there on my top 5 list, and I wanted to maybe just touch on a few of those other ones. I mean, the list, as I say, could be incredibly long if you're looking at financial benefits and work performance and things like that. I'm not even going to touch on those ones, but I just thought it could be a fairly motivating one, perhaps, to look at those top things I've learned to enjoy more, or rather dread less as well. Tying right in with bed, I suppose if bed was part A, then part B would be waking up on this one, because it's hard to explain the sheer difference between the way I wake up these days, and I'm over 2 years sober now, compared to the way I would wake up pretty much every single morning. You know, some people talk about the pounding head and the headache. That for me was not so much the issue. I would lie there with that taste. It was the taste in your mouth that was the very first sense, really, waking into the world for a brand new day. That absolutely stale, strong taste of stale alcohol really would be my first signal for the day that reminded me, oh, you drank again last night. You drank too much again. And so with that coming though, that wave of shame, that regret. Some days I would wake up still wearing my contact lenses. I'm supposed to take those out each night. If I would open my eyes and everything looked clear, I would find that very disorientating. I'd think, wow, I really have drunk too much last night. I didn't even take my lenses out. Teeth brushing could be a 50-50 affair. Invariably, I'd be bursting for the toilet for the amount of water I maybe try to chug to combat the effect of drinking across the evening as well. So, and then, of course, what conversations did we have? What TV show did we watch? I don't remember. Was it this show? Was it that show? Did I argue with my husband? Did I go on my phone and have a Facebook rant? To be honest, I don't think I did too many of those in my later years. But that waking up, I have none of that now. None of that exists. It's just gone. It's part of my history. And these days I open my eyes, I hear the alarm, I turn it off, and I lie there without a disgusting taste in my mouth, tired always, but thinking, yeah, what day is it? What do I have to do? What are my options? What can I look forward to? And it's that easy. There is no grey, there is no doubt, there is no shame, there is no regret, there is no disgusting taste and the fuzzy head. So, you know, those two go hand in hand. Going to bed and getting out of bed have been revolutionised. And there's no shocker, but the sheer level of change that's come about has just been so wonderful for me. A person that's had difficulty with bed and sleep for many, 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 many years. And I assumed that was just the way it was always going to be. But I was making things a lot worse for myself. So that's right there. Okay, right up there was the point that got me started on this topic today, bed. One of my top favourite things since quitting alcohol. The walk to work, you know, in the morning, by that point having been up and around, dealt with the kids, got out the door, having chugged more water to try and rehydrate and sober up. The walk to work for me is about 15 minutes. I enjoy that now. I can have my music nice and loud. I'm bright and optimistic and thinking about the day ahead. Previously, that walk would feel like a gym session, to be honest. It would feel like a necessary trudge. It was hard. My head would just be filled the entire way with thinking, I've got a problem. I've got a problem with alcohol. I need to tackle this problem. I can't believe I'm shouldering this. I feel so rubbish. Tonight I'm not going to drink. I need to look into resources. I've got to tackle this. And my entire walk to work would generally be filled with that heavy sense of shame and regret, again, that I'd woken up with, but amplified as well, really. And again, knowing that I would smell horrible walking past people. These days, my walk to work is a great chance to catch up on a voice message. I can play my music nice and loud. I feel energised and optimistic for the day ahead. I really enjoy that little walk to work now because I'm bouncing. I'm walking on fresh air. I feel great. I'm present. And I'm just not carrying any of that stuff that I had before. You know, on my top 5 list as well, I've got family in there. Now, I want to make this really, really clear up front that I've always dedicated a lot of time and energy to the kids. Even in my heaviest drinking times, I was trying to be as focused as I could on activities for them and being as present as I suppose you can be when there's alcohol in the way. But these days, I think what I would say is that there doesn't feel like there's a timer, right? With kids before, I always felt I was looking at the clock. I just want to get them into bed so I can open a drink, because I wouldn't like to drink too much in front of them. These days, that time is just not there. Like, I still want them to go to bed, trust me. I really want them to go to bed. But there is not quite such an urgent pressure for that to happen. And the pressure's off to sort of compensate. The next day, waking up feeling horrendous, I would start setting about lots of activities and what can we do to prove that I wasn't hungover, because I didn't have a problem and everything's fine. And all of that pressure's gone as well. I don't feel that need to compensate. Everything is just calmer and I feel far more present for the kids. I know that I'm going to be there for them around the clock at any point. And again, that's just been so balancing and calming. And likewise with the family, the relationship with the loved one in your life, with my husband, it's just really been a subtle change, but a big change in the fact that it's like removing a third person from the marriage, really. Sitting on a sofa of an evening, the alcohol would be like a third person sat between us, because I would be backwards and forwards to the kitchen. He would be hinting and critically looking at the amount I was drinking. I would be defensive. All of that's just gone. That's just not there anymore. We speak. What I'm saying is this version of me. This version stays the same 24 hours a day, give or take. And that's been just really revolutionary. The benefits of my family life and my personal social relationships has got to be one of my favourite things as well, because I know this takes me into the future. And this ties in with one of my last points that I'll come to in a moment. Point number 4, okay? And this one's like a euphoric one. This is one of my favourite things to experience since giving up alcohol. I've only had it a handful of times because I don't have much of a social life. But number 4 is driving home from a social event late at night. Okay, going out for a meal, a leaving drink, Christmas do, a colleague's wedding. These are some of the events where I've driven home around midnight or beyond, or I've dropped people off and I've had the music and I've turned off my ignition as I've got back to the house. And I've just sat there for a minute or two. Sometimes I've posted this on my sober Instagram account, that I feel euphoric. I'm like, look at me. I've driven myself home. I am present. I want the police to pull me over and breathalyse me. Look at me. I've driven home because I am in control and I have not humiliated myself or abused my body tonight. And I can't explain. The sort of rush I get is a really wonderful sensation. I need to have more nights out, actually, to experience that rush a little bit more often, but time constraints don't really allow. But I really, really love that one. I'm smiling telling you about it because it's one of my best feelings that I wish I could bottle, actually. If you excuse the pun, I wish I could put that feeling in a bottle. Oh, dear. So moving on to my last point. Things I've learned to enjoy so much more and things that are just so much better since giving up alcohol just has to be my relationship with myself, actually. I know who I am now far more. I know what I feel. I stand by what I feel. I trust myself 100% now. And I respect myself as well. I know that I'm a good person and that I'm not to blame and that I'm not at fault and I don't have a problem. It wasn't me that had the problem in the first place. The substance was the problem. I'm kinder to myself. I'm kind when I look back at old me, generally. I'm just more patient, I like to think. You just feel a sense as though you're being really true to yourself. And there's just no complication. There's no veil in front of it making things opaque or confusing. It's just you are you. And you can begin to know that person and like them again and come to love yourself more. And I know that sounds so cheesy, love yourself. But you're all you've got, right? It's nice to go back and find those elements of you as a teenager that are still there, that might have got buried under years of responsibility and stress. Stripping away the alcohol has brought back, for me personally, just a lot of that sense of who I really am, what I care about, what I'm passionate about, and allows me to focus on chasing those things and amplifying them and exemplifying them and enjoying them. And that's got to make me a pleasant person to the people around me, I would like to think, because ultimately, from point number 5, my relationship with myself, it's the gift I'm giving to my family and the gift I want to take forward for the next several decades. I'm 45 now, I've been sober 2 years. I can't look back and regret too much all of the years of heavy alcohol abuse that I indulged in, if you will, or that I was victim to, I don't know. But what I can think is that years and years and years ahead of me, decades, maybe another half of my life, that I get to enjoy all of these things and far, far more. So if you're considering a life without alcohol, I really, really hope that this will give you some sort of impetus, some sort of hope, conviction to give that a go. Any day alcohol free is a good day for you. Thank you for listening. It's Jane on Fast Fizz.